Hi, this is Kylie with Fim and Flow. I hope everyone's having a great day. Today, I wanted to talk about sacred spiritual unions, what that means, why it's important, and how it relates to current times. It's best if you've already listened to my other episodes over the 9 dimensions we can access energetically, so you have a background on the dimensions. But if not, I'll give a brief overview of some important and related points. Dimensions 1 through 3 are physical, and the fourth dimension is essentially a non physical veil that canopies over the physical dimensions. The fourth dimension is the realm of archetypes, myths, and the collective mind. The fourth dimension essentially sets the vibe of the physical experience. Earth is just one of many physical experiences souls can incarnate into. And these different physical experiences are basically fairy tale land, and the fourth dimensional non physical veil is what sets the vibe and essence of this fairy tale. And you can also view the fourth dimension as a matrix. Before Earth's fourth dimension or matrix was hijacked by what I call the dark global elite, there was an original fourth dimension veil. For this reason, I call Earth's current fourth dimension the false matrix. Since the fourth dimension is non physical, if you hijack the archetypes, myths, and the collective mind, you can subtly program the collective of souls in that physical experience. The dark global elite has done things to cut humanity off from the higher dimensional energies. Physical experiences that completely resonate with these higher dimensional energies have total freedom and bliss, and these experiences are what we archetypally call heaven. And these totally free physical experiences are where we build our eternal lives. So, due to the false matrix or hijacked fourth dimension of Earth, Earth is essentially a prison in comparison to what our souls are used to. But before Earth's fourth dimension was hijacked, there was original programming, if you want to call it that. And these are just the original archetypes, myths that set the vibe of this physical Earth experience. I mentioned one example in a previous episode. The zodiac signs are original archetypes that personify the energy of astrological alignments. And we can get insight about what is happening with the energy on Earth by seeing where the planet is aligned with other planets and stars, where the planet is aligned in the universe, essentially. This is just a fun and useful characteristic of the original fourth dimension of Earth. Like I said, the non physical fourth dimension canopy just sets the vibe of the physical experience and sets up the fairy tale land. So, fourth dimensions that are in the experiences that totally resonate with 1 through ninth dimensional energy and is totally free. The fourth dimension is just very fun. It sets the vibe, it sets what this experience is all about. And another original fourth dimension archetype or program of original fourth dimension of Earth is the concept of a sacred union. I did a separate episode on the divine feminine and divine masculine energies, and that's a previous episode if you're interested. And there's sort of two layers here. We all individually should be a balance of divine feminine and divine masculine energies. That's the second level basis. And then the first level, we're either a divine feminine or a divine masculine, if that makes sense. So, yes, we're all divine feminine or divine masculine, and that's the archetype or role we're portraying. But then on a second level, we need to have a balance of these energies so we're in harmony. So essentially, with the sacred union being one of the original archetypes of Earth's fourth dimension, the fairy tale land of this physical experience was a love story. That being said, it's no coincidence the dark global elite is pushing thought forms and programming in society with aims to disrupt harmony in relationships, confuse ideas around gender, and promote independence and separation from others. They're really trying to put the divine feminine and the divine masculine at war. And we see this a lot in current culture. But like everything, there's absolutely nuance here. I'm not just pushing traditional norms because we know the dark global elite control goes way, way, way back. What I'm actually suggesting is part of a history that has been erased. In other experiences that totally resonate with 1 through ninth dimensional energies, and therefore are totally free, they all have different vibes, and you get to bop around and build your eternal lives in whichever ones you prefer and wherever you enjoy. You aren't limited. You can totally do as you wish. And I talk about in other episodes how once you fully resonate with 1 through ninth dimensional energies, you have no needs, including social or companionship. In other experiences, you may not have a partner you live with like you do here. That is one of the fun and unique aspects of this experience. So, the idea of a sacred union is part of this experience. And yeah, it's part of others as well, but not all of them. And a sacred union is when the divine feminine and the divine masculine come together, and being together essentially amplifies their energy. They're basically better together, and the whole is more than their parts. They have a synergy. 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals 4. And I'm not just talking about the idea of a twin flame union. Twin flames are a type of sacred union, but everyone can be in a sacred union, even if you don't have a twin flame. Soulmates are another type of sacred union. So I mentioned a sacred union is a divine feminine counterpart and a divine masculine counterpart. And together they amplify the energy, and the whole is greater than the parts. Each counterpart brings different gifts and energy to the partnership. The divine masculine brings strength, courage, action, initiative, protection, support, boundaries, and structure. And the divine feminine brings nurturing, compassion, intuition, inner knowing, creativity, expression, community, and adaptability. And then they both bring leadership, security, safety, and responsibility in different ways. And they are truly equals, and no one person is in charge or rules the household. They each bring different gifts and different energies. The sacred union is centered on harmony, balance, communication, collaboration, and most importantly, love. The divine feminine counterpart grounds the pair, while the masculine can take action. The divine feminine goes inward for higher guidance with a spiritual connection, while the masculine goes outward to navigate the physical world, taking action and taking initiative. And the divine feminine provides in spiritual and energetic aspects, while the divine masculine provides more in physical aspects. The divine feminine provides more in the unseen, while the divine masculine provides more in the seen. The divine masculine, being in energies of action, initiative, the physical, the seen, needs to take the initiative and action first. The divine masculine counterpart, being in their masculine, will put the other counterpart in their divine feminine. And the divine feminine must feel safety to bloom into their true essence. And then the divine masculine protects the feminine so they feel safe and secure to connect and be the spiritual channel, essentially. Once the divine feminine feels safe and grounded, they can in turn make the divine masculine feel safe by sharing softness, peace, balance, and protecting the divine masculine's heart. There is absolutely strength and softness, but the divine feminine needs to feel safe to give this part of themselves. And think about it, women literally have a womb, and this is literally a portal to the spiritual world and spiritual realm. When the divine masculine provides safety and protection to the divine feminine, then they feel the safety needed for them to really step into their magic. And the divine feminine's magic comes with peace, stability, and provides the divine masculine with more than you can physically quantify. It is essentially the divine feminine's non physical energy that amplifies the divine masculine physical energy. Like I said, they amplify each other in different ways. The divine masculine is great at building in the physical, and the divine feminine is great at energy alchemy and manifestation. And these together create the dream team and the power couple and that amplifying, powerful magnetic energy. Current society is set up and operates in a way that doesn't value the divine feminine and what they provide. Many divine feminine counterparts don't feel enough safety and security in their lives to step into that spiritual essence and tap into their true inner knowing. And this has been set up on purpose by the dark global elite. The dark global elite also has really pushed narratives to put men and women and divine feminine and divine masculine against each other. To me, when I listen to current culture, it seems really trendy to hate men and blame men and the patriarchy for all of the problems. And although women have been more oppressed throughout history, men are victims of the dark global elite too. But while I do use the term victim here, let's never think of ourselves as victims. The dark global elite know the power of a sacred union and they don't want this. Our current society seems to value ambition, capitalism, making money via these traditional masculine roles. And the gifts of a divine feminine and what they provide are just as important, but they can't be quantified in the same way. And our society is obsessed with quantifying and quantifies with numbers, financials, money. And you cannot quantify the divine feminine energy and what they provide in this way, because, like mentioned, the divine masculine deals more in the physical and the divine feminine more in the non physical. And current society is not a stable ground for sacred unions because of how they have skewed the ideas of the divine masculine and the divine feminine energies. They've oppressed the divine feminine to make them feel unsafe. And in a society ruled by money, higher paying roles are more masculine roles traditionally. This creates a huge imbalance. It makes it a huge risk for the divine feminine to step into the feminine energy because to provide for themselves financially, they usually need to tap into the divine masculine energies and that side of themselves. And then current society pushes and promotes toxic versions of masculinity to further depart them from the idea of a sacred union. And there are so many examples of this, from rap songs talking about women in derogatory ways to now some organized religions oppress women and say the man is in charge and that women should obey and submit to their husbands. There's a nuance to what I'm talking about because, like I mentioned, I'm not aligning with what people call traditional values. There are some organized religions that twist this concept and use it to keep women oppressed and men in charge. In what I'm talking about with a sacred union, the masculine is not in charge. It's literally an equal partnership, equal leadership, equal balance, and harmony. And each masculine and feminine counterpart provide in different ways, like I mentioned. You can't quantify with money or financials. It is really wrong of current society to base everything on money and financials and equating that with providing. And toxic masculinity is thinking that providing is only via finance and money. And the dark global elite have purposefully made society money obsessed by making it a scarce resource, when in fact it is not scarce. That is one of the lies that we have been told. We really need to start thinking of money as an energy instead of a scarce or finite resource. So take all of this and let it settle in and really think on it and think about how your own partnership, your own relationships, your own marriage reflects this and see if there's anything you need to work on or what you're doing right. If we approached our relationships in the way of a sacred spiritual union, I think we would be much happier and our society would be much more in harmony and balance. And I truly think we're at a great time where we are going to be going back to this. I think we're in a terrific time. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I love you all. I hope this resonated. If it did, leave a 5-star review and share with people you might think it will resonate with. Have a great week. I love you all.